My name is Sarah, and the indigenous group of people I chose for this video presentation are the Mayan people. Who are the Maya people? Well, to start, I should share some basic need-to-know information about them. They lived in southern Mexico and northern Central America, known as Mesoamerica. They had settled in about 1800 to 2000 BC, and their classic period was 250 AD to 900 AD. These dates were around 4,000 years ago, and they are still alive today. The Maya people had a very advanced way of living, being, and knowing, much more advanced than other peoples on the land elsewhere. Their biggest advancement was the cyclical calendar. They lived in a foresty area as they relied heavily on the water. But they were near 3 volcanoes, which 2 of them were active. There were periodic hurricanes as well as tropical storms that would often occur. They had to adapt quickly to what the climate was throwing at them, and they needed to be able to sustain their resources and their people. The main focus. The Maya people had a highly developed level of civilization. They had extensively large cities. They were able to reshape the land for water and agricultural resources, and never forget their incredibly large infrastructures. 2 pictures I have shown on the slide are images of their largely infrastructures. These advances and stable ways of life helped with growth in population. But slowly, the population started to overgrow the supplies that they were able to maintain. The climate that motivated the Maya people to live there was the elevation in the subtropics, and the weather was always spring-like. They said during the summertime, which was May to October, was when they got the most rain, and the temperature was around 16 to 30 degrees Celsius year-round. Having the climate so moist would help their soils stay fresh and their vegetation to continue to have immaculate growth. They were starting to have less resources for less people, and then things started getting worse when the droughts started getting longer and more horrible. There were droughts that came once in a while, but it was not very long, and they were able to continue to sustain their living. But during the pre-classic period for the Maya people was the longest unsustainable drought they had had. The climate change was the greatest vulnerability to the Maya community and was said to be the collapse of the Maya peoples. So, what what was the drought? Since the Maya people were so lucky to have such a great environment to live on, which provided them all their needs and helped them gain their knowledge and ability to survive as people, they never thought that the climate would wrong them. During the end of the pre-classic time was when the drought started to happen. The drought consisted of a long period of time when the rain would stop falling, the lands were drying up, and the vegetation was no longer able to sustain. This drought caused the Maya communities and cities to fall, or the Maya people would be re-inhabited. The Maya culture today. The Maya people are still people today, living within the perimeter, which included El Salvador, Belize, Honduras, and 5 states in Mexico of their empire, as well as most of them living in Guatemala, which is considered their first place of being. They live in small communities, hidden more from the rest of the world, due to wanting to keep their own culture strong and sacred. The Maya people pride themselves of their language and adaptability, believing those are what keep their culture alive. But the Maya people, who are still trying to create new cultural, political, and representation of themselves as people. There are many others said theories of why the Maya people had to leave their lands, but the one that has recently become the more researched and highly understood by scientists was the drought. So that leads us to the climate change today. Now, scientists are doing research, trying to find all the logistics of how the climate change was so significant and how some Maya people were able to survive through it. They are making connections with what happened during the drought to today's climate change. They have not found a solution or yet consistent endeavors between the climate changes the Maya went through and what we are going through today. But they do share that we must be cautious and we need to learn from past experiences to keep our planet and our civilization alive. Now, to conclude, I would like to share these 2 quotes stated by Nick Evans, a PhD candidate at the University of Cambridge. Depending on how society copes with environmental changes, outcomes can be very different. As we try to deal with climate change in the future, archaeological studies need to focus more on how past societies, like the Maya, coped with natural disasters successfully or unsuccessfully. I chose both of these quotes because I think they share a very important message about how we in today's society must learn from things that had happened in the past that were negative so that we do not make the same mistake for another generation of people. Thank you for watching my presentation, learning about who the Maya peoples were, who they are today, and their biggest challenge with climate change, which was the drought. And there are the 4 citations that I used. Thank you.